Prior to the onset of the global pandemic, I used to be utterly unhinged at the thought of a single snow day that would keep my children home from school. And by my count, we've now had, 50 or 60 consecutive snow days. And so I think the most remarkable takeaway is that we've maintained sanity in spite of a formerly unthinkable set of circumstances resulting in untenable child saturation levels. I don't know. I am glad to know that we are adaptable in that way. It has much to do with Robbi being able to absorb a lot of the additional kid needs while I continue to do my job. I don't know if many people who follow us locally know that I actually have a job, but in addition to making books and ridiculous videos with Robbi, I work for a firm in Baltimore called the North Charles Street Design Organization. That's one of the nation's premier communications consulting firms for higher education and private schools. So I have continued doing that. I work half-time, and I've continued doing that while the kids are home. So the way we divide our lives. I was just
noticing that there's a child screaming bloody murder in the background. So hopefully whatever device we gave him to keep him quiet during this time period is not working for some reason. But
he's 3. I want you to, I've been talking the whole time. Mm-hmm. We have a very meticulous schedule that has evolved over the past couple of months. But we are surviving by dint of a schedule and fairly self-motivated children. We're very lucky about that. Because Robbi, we divide the day. I get up early. I'm sort of more capable and alert early in the day than Robbi is. And so I tend to the children from 7 to 9. I make breakfast. I get things going. Then I go to work while Robbi takes the next shift, which involves tending to Jasper's needs from 9 to 11 and answering questions that relate to the kids from homeschooling, supervising Zoom sessions, etc. Wow. Then from 11 to 5, basically, we outsource Jasper care to the children, which is great. And that goes pretty well, all told. It goes
pretty well.
And he takes a sizable...
At 1 o'clock every day during the week, we've been doing kids programming on YouTube. So we do a half-hour story hour for younger kids, where it started out with us doing our picture books. But since it kept going, we sort of ran out of picture books to talk about of our own. Mm-hmm. And so we've been doing a little segment where Matthew sort of crowdsources with the kids on YouTube. He crowdsources a story theme, and then he writes the story, and then I illustrate the story. And over the course of the week, we create sort of
a finished illustration
that then we sell. We've been selling on eBay and giving 50% of the proceeds to the Bayside Hoyas, which is our local fantastic organization that is supporting a lot of families.
I solicit ideas from the kids for protagonist, antagonist, setting, obstacle, and then I write a truly ridiculous story in about 6 minutes.
Now, we're kind of in the middle of our next middle grade series. So it hasn't actually published yet, but Matthew has written the first 3.
The series is called Cookie Chronicles. It's about a boy named Ben Yokoyama who's half Japanese. So it's kind of, telling something of the story of our family. And at the beginning of every book, he gets a new fortune cookie fortune. And Ben is very literal-minded and very enthusiastic, and he takes the fortunes way too seriously and literally. So it's this series of adventures that he has. The first one is called Ben Yokoyama and the Cookie of Doom, and he gets the fortune, live each day as if it were your last. And so it's Ben's bucket list adventure, the things he has to...
to the question, like, how has this affected your creative process? Matthew... strangely, or maybe not strangely at all, this is just how Matthew is like in super high production mode. He's writing all kinds of stuff. He's like peak creativity at the moment, and I am having trouble doing anything. Like my brain is just, I think, so consumed with like just keeping track of like, I don't know, just the day-to-day basic stuff, that trying to do anything like a long-term sort of, I mean, the way that I work is I usually sort of sink into a hole for 6 hours at a time and have to just tunnel focus on what I'm doing. And that just has been super, super, super hard
What's
for me.
likely, I mean, what's funny is another way in which Robbi and I have sort of divided and conquered. This is just tried and true.
Yeah.
If one of us is having a really good day, the other one is probably having a bad day. If one of us is totally morose, the other one is like, let's go do things. So but we balance each other out. And in fact, the better way of saying it is if one of us is down, the other one
compensates, I think, and says, look, it's not so bad. We can get through this. Like, I think there's a lot of that goes on. So
I've been basically hanging out with each other for 10 weeks, right? And our kids, without a lot of the other things that we would be doing. We lost 8 different speaking engagements this spring. A bunch of schools we were supposed to go to. Pratt Library was throwing a whole month-long celebration themed on our book, Everywhere Wonder, and we were going to have a day-long thing called Imagination Celebration at the main Pratt branch, and that got canceled. So all this stuff got canceled. The silver lining is it allowed me to get rid of a lot of the stuff that would distract me from doing this kind of deep dive into this 7-book series. So what I think is going to happen, Robbi, is that I've had my time for the first couple of months of this to dig deep into my project. I've gotten to a point where I need to step away from it for a while now and get some depth, and I'm probably going to hand it off to Robbi, where she's going to have more time, because she's given me a lot of time to work on this. I think now I'm going to give her more time because she's got a project she has to get deep into, and we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. It's never scripted how it works. We just, Robbi knows she'll need what she needs. We'll figure out how to give it to her. We'll get through it. We always do. It's always a little bit like flying the helicopter while designing the helicopter, changing the oil filter in the car while you're driving. You know, it's always just a mess, and it hurts. But we get it done.
Basically, we have bought a school bus. It's a short-ish school bus. It's a, what is it, 24 foot.
It's called a schoolie.
It's called a schoolie. And the idea, before this happened, the idea was that in the fall of 2021, we would be heading off, the whole family in the school bus. It would be converted to be a little tiny home. And we would be traveling the 50 states and visiting Title I schools in each state and giving away about 50,000 of our books. Mostly to bring awareness to the fact that there are Title I schools everywhere, right, and that they're severely under-resourced, underfunded, and a lot of times they're in communities like our elementary school here in Chestertown is a Title I school. We're a wealthy town, right, and we have a Title I school right in our town that is incredibly under-resourced. So the idea was that the idea of the trip would be raising awareness, but at the same time we would be doing the extended family road trip, going to see national parks, sort of visiting with different communities and different places. And the idea being that, like, we all are in the same country, we're people who care about the same kinds of things, that there's a lot more in common that we have, and that we could sort of weave this thread through the quilt of America, right, over the course of the year.
That was so well put.
Basically allows for teachers to post sort of their classroom needs, and then people can donate to that particular classroom. And it's all vetted and everything so that the teachers actually get the things that they're looking for. And so that's kind of micro donations. And the idea is that as we traveled the country, we would sort of highlight different campaigns by different school systems or different teachers and say, look, we're going through, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Can you guys throw $5 to Mrs. Jones's class and such. So
helping people who follow us, first of all, gain awareness of the pervasive problem of inequity in public education funding, giving people an opportunity to develop the muscle for the micro giving as we visit these schools, not just books, but toilet paper or glue or any flexible seating, the kinds of things that make education better. And then also just say, hey, wait a second, there's a Total One school in my community. I could donate to that school. I could volunteer at that school. I could care about that school. So awareness and practical giving and books and goodwill and the Great American Road Trip as told by us.